Welcome everyone. Welcome back after a very, very long absence.
A hiatus.
To what is our program even called anymore?
It is
Film
called...
by Flick.
Flick by Flick is this one. This is a Flick by Flick special.
All the research I should have done. The most important bit was researching
what's
the
our channel called?
We were called Dream Sequence, right? I remember
yes.
that because I came up with all the names, didn't I? Anyway, getting off track.
Okay.
So this episode, which was in popular demand by all 5 of our viewers, is a overview of the Oscars for this year.
Woohoo!
So almost coming full circle, our first video being discussion of Oscars 2018.
2018.
Now we're going to be doing Oscars 2019.
Amazing. I have a structure again.
Yeah, Joe, do you want to tell us
I
the
love
format of
structure.
this week's
So
episode?
everyone, you're in very safe hands. Very, very safe hands. I've got a structure. What we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to give a quick summary of the year. I'm going to talk about what's nominated, the nomination breakdown. Not in
political,
huge...
socio-economical summary of the year. Maybe not.
No, I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't even watch the news.
Nice.
I don't watch the news. And then I'm going to ask you your general impressions of the year, and then we're just going to talk about some of the films we liked this year, some of the ones we didn't like this year, and then we're going to talk about the Best Picture nominated films as much as we can. We haven't seen all of them. I think we've seen most of them between us.
I'd say there's only like 1 or 2 that neither of us have seen.
No, well, the only one we haven't seen is Parasite because that hasn't come out yet in the UK. It's
Not
really
fucking
annoying. It's so late.
Pirates.
Even by the whole, like, the awards all happen, and then there's always one in the UK that comes out, like, the end of February. Even by those standards, Parasite is
It's just too long
late
to wait.
and annoying. Because I managed to watch all of them last year. Anyway, I'm not bitter. And then finally, in the end, we're going to do a bit of what will win, what should win, and what should have been there.
It's... Yes.
I mean, I've done it already to give it a bit of a speedy. There's no pressure for you to do it. Some of them's quite hard.
I mean, I had done my my Disney remakes list on a speedy, and look how that turned out. But anyway, let's...
Well, was that the one where
That was the one where it was like 45 minutes of me listing Disney release dates.
What was so confusing about that is that we recorded that so late and we both told each other how tired we were, and then we reviewed the films, and then you had like an hour of going through all of them. It was just,
by the end
it was so upsetting.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. So that's going to be the structure of the first one. But wait a minute. First of all, an Oscars quiz!
Oh boy,
Oscars
not
quiz.
another one.
Yes.
I was embarrassed
Yes.
last time.
No, you did really well last time. You surprised yourself.
Okay,
Okay, a range of things. You can play along at home, everyone. It's gonna be...
I'll put the Earthworm Jim music over the top.
Yeah, no, that was really good last year. I was really proud of you.
I was very pleased with that. That's exactly what I was envisioning.
I think, most of the views of that video on YouTube are probably just me going back and being like, all of his choices of music are so good.
Favourite episode?
I think the beginning is... Weirdly, I think the quiz is the best bit, but I think I was still finding my feed, so my comments about the actual films I thought were stupid.
Oh. No, I haven't rewatched it, so I can't confirm or deny. Anyway.
I think
That's
ever
a great structure.
Quiz.
Question 1.
Question 1. Well, starting off a bit easy. What film won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars last year?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Ding! Yes, correct.
Thankfully.
I don't know what the ding means. There'll be a
Best
ding.
animated film of the decade, maybe?
I would say so.
Good.
I'd say one
contender.
of my favourites of all time, I would
Yeah,
say.
definitely.
I can't think of that many that I would trump high. I need to watch... I want to watch it again, because it usually takes 2 watches for me to fully cement a film.
Yeah,
in my
I've only
favourite
seen
list.
it once as well.
But it was just tremendous, wasn't it? And it was such a nice surprise, because I swear it was going up
Wonderful
against...
surprise.
I can't remember what
It
it
was
going
quite a quiet release from what I remember. And in fact, I was still working at the cinema, so I'm pretty sure it was fairly empty. I don't think it was that busy when we were showing it. But I remember seeing the early trailers and not being infused in the least. I just thought, looks like another Spider-Man film, not tremendously excited. And then doing screen checks and being like, wow, this looks like something else. And then finally going seeing it, and thankfully the story lived up to those visuals.
Oh yeah,
which is great.
Fantastic, concise script, lots of clarity, and also the animation, like you said, that is...
I mean, if we didn't... I can't remember if we reviewed it, did we?
We talked about it on last year's Oscars,
Yeah.
so we're...
But it seemed like
diving
such
deep again.
a timely film as well in regards to this is a term
This is
thrown
it's
about
literally on the
so
last year.
timely film. But I know in this case I feel it's more interesting because it's more of a comment on fandom. I think I did say this when we talked about it.
Yeah, it's on the commentary last
In
year.
that it's like in that it's like telling people you can have any iteration of this thing that you want because fans are so precious about
Yeah,
franchises now.
that message is wonderful because it's like it's having
all these generations can live together.
it's
All these,
taking
like,
potentially the ugliest side of being a film fan at the moment, and it is
not
such
just a film fan, like a comic book.
Oh
sci-fi,
yeah, a fan of any
more that,
anyone who
fandom.
participates in art or culture is taking one of the ugliest things about that at the moment and putting this positive spin on it, which says that this can mean anything that you want it to mean.
Yeah,
it's just wonderful. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Anyway.
Quiz. Stop taking me off track.
45 minutes. Boy.
Yeah, okay. 45 minutes on every Spider-Man film that might be coming out soon. No. Question 2. Which individual person has the record for the most Academy Award nominations?
Isn't it Jack Nicholson?
No, not even an individual, not actor or actress necessarily.
Oh, so the director. Wait, what?
It's an individual person who's been nominated for the most Academy Awards. I'll give you a clue. They were nominated 59 times and they won 22 times.
Oh my god.
Think about the kind of person who could
I genuinely don't know.
producer roles.
Steven Spielberg?
No, Walt Disney.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't know how many. Yeah.
Lots of shorts, lots of animated shorts.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just I should have looked up Spielberg actually because I thought I added a few others that I knew would be high. So John Williams has 52 nominations now, which is kind of
That's
more
surprising.
extraordinary because he's just doing scores.
A lot of them. I mean, I love the best of John Williams, but he's done a lot of tat as well. I would say that Danny Elfman has probably produced more great scores than John Williams. John Williams has done like
that.
some of the most iconic ones, but fewer than.
I think in recent years, I think sometimes he's put into
He's
fill up the
phoning
numbers.
it in, but
Yeah, because like he's been nominated
can
for
really.
Rise of Skywalker, which is
exactly. It's
Yeah.
a joke. Yeah.
Meryl Streep is the highest actor with 21. Also, Edith Head is a costume designer. She's had 35 nominations for costume design.
Yeah.
Question 3. What was the first film ever to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards? Was it A, The Great Ziegfeld, B, All Quiet on the Western Front, C, Wings, or D, Gone with the Wind?
It wasn't Gone with the Wind. I know that. What were the other ones?
Great Ziegfeld, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Wings.
Was it Wings?
Yes!
Yeah.
So you're oh no, you 2 out of 3. But yeah,
Almost good.
haven't seen Wings. I have seen All
Nice.
Quiet on the Western Front.
You
which is
really
the
like
third-
that, don't
That's
you?
so good. I couldn't believe how good it was. I actually preferred it to 1917, but we'll get onto that later.
Well, yeah.
Question 4. Okay, this is one where you need to stretch your mind a bit. Name 3 films that have won 8 or more Oscars.
Oh my god.
There are 15.
1, 8 or more.
Yeah, there are, 1. 8.
Did Mad Max Fury Road win?
No.
No, I know it was nominated for like 10, wasn't it? But I can't remember how many it actually won.
Nah, well, it's not on the list.
It's the only film I care about in the Academy Awards.
That'd be amazing if Mad Max Fury Road had won more. I'll give you. They're none of that recent.
Did Titanic get
Yeah.
Yeah. Gone with the Wind, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you got it. You got the
Yeah.
3. Shall I give you the full list?
Yeah.
So I think Return of the King, Lord of the Rings,
Oh,
Return of the
yeah, I
King,
was thinking of that.
Ben-Hur and Titanic got the most with 11. And then the rest are all in random order. Gigi somehow got 9. West Side Story got 10. Gone with the Wind, From Here to Eternity, On the Waterfront, My Fair Lady, Cabaret. Cabaret, I think, is the only one that didn't win Best Picture that has got 8 or more. Amadeus, The Last Emperor, The English Patient, and Slumdog Millionaire.
I really need to see Amadeus.
Oh, it's really good. It's very good. Question 5. Name 2 films that have won the Big Five, which are Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay. So 3 films have won that. I'm
going to say Gone with the Wind again.
No. Okay, I'm going to give you a clue before because it's quite a hard one. So for me, they are the 2 that I've seen are 2 of the best films ever to win Best Picture. They're like 2 of my favourites.
Oh right, so Batman Returns.
Good
wow, that
one.
fell flat. They heard that silence in Australia. Sorry. 2 of your favourites ever. Oh, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's correct.
I don't want to say Jaws.
No, that was the same year as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
Killer year. I mentioned it to you the other day. 90s.
Indulge Me. What are the other 2?
Well, Oliver, have the lambs stopped screaming.
Oh, Silence of the Lambs, of course.
Yeah. So it's Silence of the Lambs, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and It Happened One Night. Won the Big Five. So you're 3 out of 5 so far. There's only 8 questions, don't worry. This won't go on. What is the only Martin Scorsese film to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards?
Isn't it Goodfellas?
No!
No, sorry. Backtrack. It wasn't Taxi Driver, was it?
No, it's one of the notorious kind of...
Wasn't it Gangs of New York?
Nah, no, but you're more on the right lines because no one for it deserved it.
Wasn't Casino?
Nope.
I'm sorry, I'm not checking these with you. I'm like fairly confident that it wasn't these films.
Okay.
Indulge Me.
The Departed.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
No, I've heard it's good though.
It is. It's really good actually. I really like it.
Just not the one you'd expect.
I know why people are kind of like it didn't deserve Best Picture. I think it's more of like a fun romp, but it's like it's really really good. It's really well done. Question 7. How long was the longest ever acceptance speech delivered at the Academy Awards?
Oh, wasn't it like 45 minutes or something like that?
Oh shit, no.
Oh,
Not from my source.
No, I think I'm thinking of something I read the other day about the longest speech given at a dinner or something like that. God knows how I read this stuff. Wasn't it Adrian Brody?
No, this is an impossible one actually. As far as my sources are aware, it's
easy,
5 minutes 30 seconds,
Oh.
which doesn't sound long, but I think it's pretty long. And they're all about 2 minutes.
Like an acceptance speech.
Delivered by Greer Garson, who won Best Actress for Mrs. Miniver in 1942, which I know you were watching that year, so I don't understand why you
year of the Academy Awards.
You love Mrs. Miniver.
I definitely knew that film existed.
Final question. This is a guess, so I'll let you have it to the nearest 50. The Wolf of Wall Street is the best
quizmaster ever.
I don't think it's really fun. People are going to be
It's really
fun. It's fun. The Wolf of Wall Street.
Do this on your own channel, Nightmare Sequence.
I just do this to like
Torture
get power over you.
Yeah, pretty much.
When we start talking about films, you say clever things and I'm like...
I really don't.
I'm like, yeah!
Anyway, final question.
The Wolf of Wall Street is the best picture nomination with the most expletives. How many F-bombs are there in The Wolf of Wall Street? Taking into account that it's 3 million years long.
572?
I'm going to give you 506.
Oh my god, so at least in the right
in the same 100? Wow!
Well, I almost went for 300 and something. So
well,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Congratulations, you got 5 out of 8. 5 out of 8?
Not bad, considering
4.5
the
out of
odds.
8. Well done, Oliver, and well done everyone at home as well.
Yeah, there's a comment below.
Well done, everyone.
Let us know how.
Well done, Joe, listening back to this and answering your own
You're
quiz.
gushing at home. Like,
I got it again.
I got it good with that quiz.
Okay, so just a quick summary of this year. This will be the 92nd Academy Awards. Once again, there is no host because woke culture has killed comedy.
Was Kevin Hart for this, or was he for the BAFTAs or something?
No, Kevin Hart was meant to do the Oscars last year. And
Oh my god, that year's gone quick.
Yeah, that's why
Oops.
They had no host last year, and then this is again they've got the same thing because they said the format worked so well last year. I didn't watch it. I never actually watched it.
Yeah.
In terms of honorary Academy Awards, I thought you'd like this. They're going to David Lynch, Wes Studi. Do you know who?
Yeah, I do,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. Just
but
contributions to cinema.
fair enough.
And Lena Wertmuller.
What's she done?
So she was, and this fact was in last year's commentary as well. She was the first woman to be nominated for Best Director. Now I thought what they'd done is they'd been like, we fucked up so bad not putting Greta Gerwig or any other women in Best Director. But it was these were announced in October 2019, so it's a coinky dink.
Wow.
Why are you like?
Yeah, it's just funny to me that they've got this nomination and then they just shut out every woman.
Yeah.
For the main nomination.
Well, you know. And you like the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, which I didn't know they gave, is going to Gina Davis.
Oh, cool. We were talking about that the other day, weren't
Should
we?
make one hell of a family.
Oh, Brundleflies all together.
The only other news is their kind of change to a category this year is Best Foreign Language Film is now Best International Film. But they didn't try and add Best Popular Film like last year.
Oh, that's such a shame. I think Joker would have dominated that. Do you reckon they would have put that in
Well,
Best
I don't
Picture
know,
or
because
Best
they're
Popular?
convinced that Joker's like
Intellectual
high art,
high
aren't
art,
they?
yeah.
So I don't know.
So we're gonna get into this like.
Well, that's the thing. Like, imagine though, it would be so stupid because I reckon like Joker would have been up for Best Picture, and like Us would have been up for Best Popular Film.
Yeah, to be honest, it would end up.
You know,
turning
there's
into
just no way of
yeah.
like. It's just the stupidest thing they've ever
It would turn
done.
into the Golden Globes, wouldn't it?
Speaking of Joker is leading the pack with 11 nominations.
How the
11
fuck did that happen?
nominations.
What are they? Do you have them listed?
I've got them all up. It's basically everything. Like everything, you know.
How? Answer me this, Joe. How?
Best,
It's like
best picture.
You can praise that film. I like if you like that film, that's fine. But like, would you really say that every single facet of it is the best that has been represented this year?
Well, I wouldn't,
Like,
and we'll get into that.
We will get into that, but like, would you genuinely say that it had the best costumes of the year and the best sound design of the year and whatever else? I'm assuming it's been nominated for those.
It's Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, which just...
Oh my god, did they do that in the end?
Yes.
We were joking
It
about
drives
that.
me insane. Best Original Score, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing,
That's
Best
ridiculous.
Production Design. No, it's not Production Design. What?
Which is the one that I'd
that's
expected
yeah, that's
to
the
get.
one good thing.
Yeah,
What?
That's weird.
It's not. Fucking hell. Best Cinematography.
Which is
They've
fine.
nominated it for everything except for the thing they actually deserves a nomination for.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. We'll get into it. Joker leads the pack with 11. The Irishman, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood lead with then have 10. Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Marriage Story, and Parasite have 6. Ford v Ferrari. I've put versus.
Well, it's called Le Mans 66 over here.
Oh, is it? I
Yeah.
thought it was okay. Whatever. Ford v Ferrari.
I don't know if that I was talking about. We'll talk about that.
I'm gonna call it by its real name.
Yeah, I'd call it by its real name, to be honest.
Called Ford v Ferrari is got 4 nominations, and then Bombshell, Rise of Skywalker, and the Two Popes have 3. Harriet, Honeyland, Judy, Pain and Glory, and Toy Story 4 have 2. This is
Oh my
I don't know
God.
if this has happened before, but all the Best Picture nominations are like by a mile ahead. So it's like those 9 are the ones that have like basically everything.
What
You
a-
look so upset.
What a weird set of films.
Anyway, let's start off by talking about 2019 general
favourite
impressions.
ones.
Should we start talking about the films we like?
Yes, and there's one on there. You start, but there's one on there that I thought was from last year. But if it is this year, I swear. Booksmart. Sorry. Do you want to start with that one or?
Oh yeah, okay, sure. The Booksmart is this year.
It was one of the big snubs, wasn't it? It
Yes,
hasn't been
yeah, no.
nominated for
Well,
anything.
Booksmart is up for the BAFTAs. That is when we're recording this. BAFTAs are about to be on, but
Yeah.
who cares? Yeah, Booksmart is up for best original screenplay there, and it ought to be for the Oscars as well, but it's not.
It got nominated for nothing,
Yeah, no, nothing.
and it's like most people would agree it's one of the best films. I haven't personally seen it, but it came out.
Oh, it's really
everyone loved
good.
it.
I've seen it twice now, and the second time I liked it even more. I'd give it a number of things. I'd give it certainly a screenplay nod. I'd probably get one of the lead actresses in it, Caitlin Dever. This is stepping on my bit later on, but I'd give it to her. Booksmart's great, and it's like a really good directional debut, like really, really funny, incredibly unique in terms of the way the characters interact with each other. Like they're all incredibly like positive and uplifting each other, and it's I've never seen so much comedy kind of taken out of the premise of people being nice to each other.
Yeah.
It's a really, really unique form of comedy, and it's so good.
It's a directorial debut as well.
Yeah, it's Olivia Wilde. Yeah, I think it's her first feature film. So yeah, I'd definitely give it some stuff. I don't think, to be fair, I think because it is slightly broader in terms of comedy. That's not to say there isn't any pathos at all. I don't like it as much as stuff like Lady Bird or Eighth Grade.
Yeah, no.
Just because those films really sort of just move me, and I think have some really powerful things to say of what it's like growing up. I think Booksmart is slightly broader and sillier in order to have that real pathos and resonance, but it's great.
But still, like, screenplay at the Oscars is like the You Tried badge. It's like, oh, we're not brave enough to nominate this film for Best Picture, so we'll give it a nod for Best Screenplay.
Yeah, usually the screenplay categories are better than the Best Picture categories.
So for this not to get nominated even for Best Screenplay,
it's ridiculous.
Really
there are two that are up for. There are one in each category, which I just think it's a farce that they're up for screenplay. And yeah, so Booksmart's great. You need to watch that. I think the two, like one of them we saw today, and one of them we saw right at the beginning of the year. I think
my two picks for best films. My favourite films of the year.
Yeah. I'm similar. I wouldn't quite say it, but they're two of my favourite. Yeah. I think we both agree that Jordan Peele's Us and Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse should both be up for Best Picture.
Definitely.
What did you think of The Lighthouse? Quick.
I loved it. It's complete. I do realise some of the films this year are more my kind of, my favourite films of this year have just been like ones that really appeal to my sensibilities. Like The Lighthouse, it was almost like some weird conglomerate of like a Stanley Kubrick film with almost like Tim Burton iconography or use of iconography with like a little bit of like the sorcerer idea of like people being in purgatory and almost warring to get out of this purgatory somehow. There's all these weird ideas.
I felt a bit of Bergman vibes in it as well. Yeah,
there was a shot of them walking along the cliff that made me think directly of Seventh Seal.
I think, and the black and white cinematography definitely feels like an ode to that.
Yeah, no, I really, really liked it. There's so much in there. I mean, I got a lot out of it the first time anyway, but there's one of those films that I imagine would keep giving. I'm really surprised that Willem Dafoe isn't nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
So am I.
There was one scene of his in it that had me gripped to my seat more than in a very long time at the cinema.
Yeah,
the scene where he's like basically cursing Robert Pattinson. And like the lighting on him is incredible because it almost
makes him look
frames,
ghoulish,
in a phantom kind of way, and he just has so much rage channeling through him for like several minutes, probably like a couple of minutes,
like an unbroken
monologuing almost
shot, of just a close up of his face,
and by the end you feel like you've been the subject of him of his anger. It's incredible. I agree.
I actually loved it as well. I was. My expectations were very high, and I was glad to say that they were met. I think I liked it mainly in the point of I think it's got two powerhouse lead performances, and I think the human moments between the two of them, where they're making discoveries about each other, and when they're starting kind of picking at each other's armour, and it just the standard of the dialogue is so fantastic. I can't believe that's not up for Best Script. Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a great character piece, isn't it? I was thinking of you like this is a script that you would. No, I know how much you like character-based scripts. So you must.
I think that's the main reason it appealed to me, and it's just watching these two guys in a very confined space going crazy together, and it appeals to all my sensibilities.
Definitely.
And amazing score as well.
Yes,
really.
Sound amazed it didn't get nominated for sound
Soul
design.
scorching score.
Has it not been?
No, it's got nominated. The Lighthouse got nominated for cinematography, and that's it.
Fair enough.
But I think that's
one.
even more annoying because it shows that sometimes there are films where
They've
you just like,
seen it,
well, they
but-
just can't be bothered to see it, but they've seen it and they've nominated it for a fairly major award and just
Neglected it for everything else.
it's just.
I would definitely say the ones I would at least nominate it for would be cinematography, sound design, maybe score, and Willem Dafoe for supporting actor. I
give
really
it a lot
liked-
more than that. but-
I really like Robert Pattinson as well, but if I was to give him it like the minimum of nominations, those would be the ones I'd give it.
I'd agree with that. And Us, nothing for Us.
Amazing. Again,
Do you think
no
they
screenplay,
just thought like because
They
Out
did it
did
Get
quite
Out
well,
that one year,
and now they feel like
now
they don't
like
have
they've
to
done their
worry about
duty.
it.
Yeah, we served
Should
that
give the white men a
demographic
chance.
for a while. Well, this is the white men's year. It basically is, isn't it?
Such a fucking white men's year. Like
This is coming from the white men themselves as
I
well.
know, I'm fucking sick of it though.
Yeah.
It's boring.
It is. Because
And they're not the best films of the year.
No.
They're not.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah,
They're
no, it's
not.
nothing to do with us pandering to any demographic. Genuinely, our favourite films of the year weren't directed or
Well, I
written
mean,
by-
like that's the thing. Like there are except like The Lighthouse is a white men's
Yeah.
film. It's better than any of the white men films that have been nominated for everything.
Well, I think it's that stereotype, isn't it? Like almost like The Irishman. I haven't seen it, but from what you say, it's almost like Martin Scorsese can do great films, but this seems to be like almost Martin Scorsese in quotation marks. It's like what people imagine he would indulge in.
I'd say so.
Like
That I know there are loads of people who think it's like a big comeback for him and kind of like his best film in ages. I'll get into it more later,
sorry,
but
yeah.
it's not. I'm not sure. But Us, I mean, we reviewed it early on in our channel, which I'm sure everyone has watched.
Exactly. Yeah. Go back to that episode. Save us 45 minutes. Thank you.
Us is great though.
Mhm.
I actually, as far as personal taste goes, I absolutely love Get Out, but I think I like Us a little bit more because I think I just like the
I thought you were the opposite when you saw it, or have you changed?
No.
Or were you
I
always
think
like
I
that?
think I was always like
Oh,
that.
right.
I think I found it scarier, and I found it a bit more. I just found it a bit more spontaneous, which I like in horror films. And secondly, I like that the kind of social commentary or whatever sort of the allegory is.
It was more subtle, wasn't it?
Well, it's not so much
it was
less
more,
subtle. It's less specific.
Yeah, it's more
Like,
ambiguous. It's
exactly.
like,
And you can me and you
we had
took-
very different
had different interpretations
yeah.
of it. Whereas Get Out, I think it's totally right for that kind of film. For what Get Out was trying to do, it's perfect. But it's it's about racism and it's
Yeah.
about liberal pandering to racism, and it's very clear about that. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Did the Twilight Zone TV show get particularly good feedback?
I
Because
think
he was kind of involved early on,
I
wasn't
think
he?
he was
I don't think he wrote any of it.
producing. I don't know. Actually,
would've
it was
been, like,
something I was
If he
excited
had
about.
yeah,
but-
that's the thing. Like, if he had actually had an integral role in it, I would have been really excited.
Yeah.
But
But
I
I
have a
think
feeling in the
I think
end
he
it was
produced
just-
it. I think maybe
yeah.
he had input early on, but maybe
I don't even know if it's still running. Is it? Don't know.
I think it was one of those things that was all released on Netflix at once.
Yeah.
But I don't watch television. I only watch films.
That's true.
only
I
watch
think that's
cinema.
one of the few TV shows I like is the original Twilight Zone.
I haven't seen any of it.
I've seen like episodes here and there. And I love it.
I really love the idea of it.
Yeah,
I think I would
super
like
enjoy
it. Should we just barrel through some of the other ones that we like? I'm just going to mention some. I watched Uncut Gems. I really
yeah.
liked Uncut Gems. I think that again, I'd probably. This is getting to the point where I know everyone. You read lists online, which are like everything that was snubbed from the Academy Awards, and there'll be like 5 films that it's like, how did this not get a best screenplay? And it's like, well, in the end of the day, there are only like 5 slots, and most of the films that are in those slots are good. It's just like when there's tosh in there, like there is this year. So Uncut Gems, I think, in many years would get a screenplay nod.
Yeah.
I don't know. Uncut Gems was very good. I prefer Good Time, but
All right.
it is very sort of anxiety inducing, and it's very rare to have a film where you have a central character who is so unlikable, he's so contemptible, but he's just so fascinating as well, and you do end up on his side, and in these tense situations you want him to get out of it, and that's kudos to the filmmakers.
Indeed. And to Adam Sandler.
Yes, he's very good.
Not phoning it in.
He's very, very good. Other films I liked. Eighth Grade I watched this year. We talked about it. It's not eligible this year.
Yeah.
How it didn't get nominated last year.
Crazy.
In an even worse year. Just fucking nuts. Missing Link.
Lovely.
Did you want to talk about Missing Link?
Yeah, I might as well. It was genuinely my most vivid memory of Missing Link was coming out of the cinema. I think I was meant to be going. I had things to do at home, and I was like, oh, I need to go back home and do these things. Literally after seeing Missing Link, I came out. It was a lovely summer's day, and I was like, I really feel like just going for a walk in a big field. Oh. So I did it. I was like, it was one of those films that just made me feel really lovely inside. I think a lot of people, I mean, you would agree with this. I come across as quite critical of films. Genuinely, look at my letterbox because it's skewed towards the more positive
I
end.
did actually check this the other day. I occasionally check it because I'm like, Oliver hates everything. I stalk you over letterbox.
My parents.
You've got a lot of threes. You've got more threes than anyone else I know.
Yeah.
As in 1.5 stars.
Yeah, my parents think I'm really critical as well. And I think everyone kind of assumes that I just don't enjoy films that are like simple but absolutely everything they set out to be. But I do. Like Missing Link is almost like a classic kind of period adventure comedy. Very, very clearly made. Did we review it?
We did. You did. I hadn't seen it yet.
My biggest takeaway was you have seen it.
I've seen it now. Yeah.
Oh right. Oh, you hadn't seen it. Sorry. One of my big takeaways was that it was lovely that it was a film that was embracing the unusual rather than shunning it. Like Mr. Link was kind of portrayed as like no one really like condemned him for being a fish out of water, for doing whatever fun.
No, it's constantly
the film
sort of charming.
It kind of embraces that, and ultimately that's almost like the message of the film is that like we all need a little bit of that in our lives. It's almost like, I don't tend to like overly sentimental films, but this came across as really sentimental without trying to be. It felt very genuine.
I think also that there's something kind of reserved about the comedy. Everything felt very tight and very well rehearsed. And there wasn't anything like so many films these days, so many comedies, including animated comedies, are like, think everything needs to be like wacky and like crazy and like,
that was another relief. Was I saw it in a cinema and there were like a few kids in there. It wasn't very busy because I don't think it did particularly well at the box office, but it was such a relief to be in there and like jokes were playing out at normal pace. I've told you about this. There are animated films I've seen recently where I've been like, this is too much for me to take in because it's like going so fast paced. There's almost like this low attention span to kids' films now because everything needs to be instant, funny laugh, ha, and not particularly complicated humour either. But it's so relieving to go and see Missing Link where the pace is lower and the comedy is a little more thought out, and to hear kids in the audience laughing at it.
Because they land with more force.
Yeah. I was thinking I've got faith in this new generation now.
Whoop, whoop.
What was the other thing? And it looks gorgeous as well.
I really like the animation style, and I really like the costumes in that, and
again very period.
The design of all the characters,
and great celebrity voice acting as well because it's not overly obvious. Like you would not recognize Stephen Fry in that film. I didn't even realise it was him.
I forgot he was in it.
Yeah.
I find Zach Galifianakis quite irritating usually, and I thought his voice work in it was lovely. Yeah, really, really good.
Suits the character. There's another film on my list where the celebrity voice acting drags the film down noticeably. It's a real fine art. Klaus.
Which is nominated.
Yep.
Both of them are.
We'll go into that. It's a fine art because I think sometimes, ever since The Genie, I know it goes beyond that, but like with Robin Williams, that's a perfect example of where that voice, that personality fits that character that they've come up with. And it's like
Sure.
in perfect tandem. That is like the ideal that you want to go to with celebrity voice acting. And yet so many films just pick out actors because they will look good on the poster. Literally, we were talking about this earlier today.
Well, I mean, yeah, animated films get extraordinary casts, don't they?
Yeah.
Some of the most prolific.
And sometimes, usually it's not the major studios that screw it up, to be honest, but which is why Klaus did screw it up, because it was a major studio. But this, you know, Hugh Jackman, Zoe Saldana, Zach Galifianakis, Stephen Fry, I'm trying to remember, is Matt Lucas in it? There's a whole bunch
Tilda
of
Swinton's
yeah,
in it,
Tilda
isn't
Swinton. Oh my god, Emma Thompson is in it as well. All these voices where you like see it at the end and you're like, holy shit, I didn't even realise it was them. And that's how it should work. It should be like the characters first, the names afterwards. Yeah. Anyway, that's my summary of that.
A lovely film.
That is my pick to win animated feature. I really hope it does, but I have a feeling it won't.
I don't think it will.
We'll go into that category.
I've only seen that
and category.
Yeah. I'm just gonna rile off the other ones. Talked about this already. Beats, directed by Brian Welsh. Yeah. That was really good. I'd love to have seen that get some more. I didn't see it in the BAFTAs at all. That's the only place where it would have been. But that was great. Bait, directed by Mark Jenkins. That has done well at the BAFTAs, I think. I think that's going to
I'm not surprised, it's BAFTA,
yeah, they were never going to get a shout in at the Oscars because, you know, they only see about 10 films. And
yeah, that wasn't going to be one of them. It's a lovely film, though. Fantastic.
Yeah, but Bait, both of them really good. The Beats Bait.
the
Beats Bait double bill, I would really recommend. Ready or Not. Was never going to be nominated for an Oscar, but really good. And also, what's her name? What's the lead actress called?
Oh goodness, I hadn't seen her in anything before.
Samantha something.
Yeah.
Samantha.
Have you seen her in anything?
She's in 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Really? I don't even remember. Really?
I'm going to look it up quickly. Ready or Not was tremendous fun. I have a man crush on Adam Brody, and every time I see him in a film, I just love it. He's so good. What's her name?
Really good.
Samara Weaving.
Oh.
She's a star in the making. It's one of my favourite lead performances in a horror film.
She...
The Babysitter. That film's terrible, but she was good in it.
But the family chemistry in Ready or Not was fantastic.
I agree.
It felt like a real family bickering with each
other.
And
I really like, I think, violence in movies. The director of Blue Ruin and Green Room, I can't remember his name, he does it really well as well, which is like capturing the messiness of violence. And, you know, all the stuff like when Adam Brody and his dad is like, they're having to carry a body out of the room, and then the dad's like, oh, I need my rifle, but Adam Brody's like, just come back for it. It's like stuff like that. They have that really nice interplay between it.
Like
exactly.
All the stuff that you wouldn't usually be depicting.
Yeah, because it's like an intense environment and you keep forgetting things. That's really, really good fun. I think that's... I would put that in Best Popular Film.
I would agree, actually. Like, I would nominate it for screenplay, but I don't think there's enough room.
And finally, speaking of screenplay, that's the one nomination for Knives Out, which we both enjoyed.
Yes, yeah, I'd agree with that as well. I really enjoyed Knives Out. Again, more of a fun romp than anything too like mentally taxing. But it really
it was more like about something than I was expecting it to be. They did have all that stuff about, you know, attitudes towards immigration in America, and all that stuff I think played out really nicely. I just love Daniel Craig's performance in it. He was so good in it. I would actually watch a sequel of it just to see.
It's like a donut within a donut.
But he's just, like, he's looked so miserable ever since he's been cast in James Bond. To see him just like coming in and having fun is like just wonderful.
It's been wonderful for him.
And it's really nice to see, like, I mean, we weren't fans of The Last Jedi, but Rian Johnson is such a wonderful director, and I think he
deserves the best.
He should just write original material, because he's so good at it.
It's almost nice that he's been relieved of the sequel Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, thank God.
Means he can actually make real films again.
Thank God is all I'll say.
Thank Yoda, or whoever the god of Star Wars would be.
Sacred Jedi
George
text.
Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, I guess.
Any more films that you liked? That's kind of me for...
To be honest, I think a lot of the same ground is covered. So, like, yeah, I'd say The Lighthouse and Us are maybe joined for my favourite films of this year. Should I mention Little Women?
We're going to talk about the
is this
best
just
picks.
Ones that haven't been nominated?
Yeah.
Not many.
If you talk about Little Women, you're breaking the structure.
Yeah.
Do not break the structure.
I don't think I've seen many that I particularly enjoyed. Midsommar's been nominated, hasn't it?
No, it hasn't. No, actually, that's worth talking about. I liked Midsommar as well. I think Midsommar, I think, is really flawed. So I was kind of disappointed by it because I don't know why I'm writing it into the structure now, even though we're talking about it now. But I'm funny like that. Yeah, I thought basically the first half of Midsommar is amazing, and to the extent that I probably would give it some nominations. Certainly for cinematography, I'd probably give it score. I'd maybe give it a few other things.
Yeah, definitely cinematography. Yeah.
But I think the problem with that film is that I think after a certain point, about 2/3 in, I think it totally blows its load and it becomes a much more conventional film after that. And I think also, the film all the way through works very well as an allegory. It's basically a breakup film, and it's about this relationship falling apart and the woman figuring out that there are people who can lift her up and who can be there for her that aren't the people she's expecting. And what happens in the film works to that extent all the way through. But the first half sets up all these amazing character relationships, particularly with the boyfriend and his friends. And I think they're all disposed of in really uninteresting ways, and nothing about
Will Poulter.
I know, this is spoilers, but no, I think even more so William Harper Jackson. I think they are so important to the dynamic because they create so much conflict, and it's all this really well written dialogue, really strange, really original characters, and they're disposed of in such a boring way. And then Florence Pugh and Richard, what's his name? Jack
Rayner.
Jack Rayner are kind of just high off their tits on drugs for the rest of it, and I don't think they have anything that interesting to do other than the big decisions the film needs them to make for the allegory to work.
There's no like character resolution.
I agree. I think she really. I just want that catharsis more of her actually standing up to him.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really happen.
No, it's kind of played out in front of her eyes. There's no like agency for either of them. Really.
Exactly, it's really annoying because I think the first half is so good, and I watched it again and I felt the same way. Unfortunately,
it almost builds up for slightly too long, and then the payoff just doesn't particularly serve the build up.
I would agree with that. But yeah, I think the 5 main performances in that are really good.
Yeah, it's definitely like not a film starved of great actors or performances. It's just like. It's more down to screenplay, I guess, and like, in a way, execution.
Yeah, slight indulgence, I'd say. I think it's slightly too long, and I think just the whole structure of the film, you needed those characters to have more satisfying intimate. It sets itself up for something that it isn't willing to follow through. I think in terms of the development of the characters.
Yeah. Rocketman's been nominated.
It hasn't. Really? It's been nominated only for Best Song.
Oh, well. I mean, I was prepared to be like, oh, it probably shouldn't have been nominated for as much as it has done. So, because I liked it more than I was expecting to. But it's definitely a film where I can be like, yeah, it's a bit self-indulgent. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I to be honest, wasn't as keen on it. I think it's a really weird one because it's a lot better than Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think that is a fair comparison to make. I think it's part of the same sort of train of films.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's the post Greatest Showman musical train, isn't it?
More sort of
coming out now.
Yeah, biopics. I think there'll be way more of them. Rocketman, I like the idea though of Rocketman being a musical and telling his story and whatever song best suits.
In a more fantastical way as well.
I liked that side of it.
Yeah.
But I thought a lot of the characterization was simplistic to the point of panto. I think particularly his parents would sort of panto-y in their villainous. Personally, that's what I remember.
Yeah, I didn't mind that too much. I definitely think the resolution of the film didn't work. That whole framing device of him being like in therapy, or a round table sort of thing.
I think that
felt
worked, but it felt thin because again the film moves at such a pace and kind of a good pace, but a lot of the relationships I don't think you believe in. I think the one with Jamie Bell is really well established, although he goes missing for a massive chunk of the film, which is a problem. But also stuff like his relationship with Richard Madden, like he basically moves in with that guy, and beyond the initial sexual attraction they feel for each other, you get no sense of like how he ever got himself into that situation at all. And then it covers very, very briefly the bit where he married a woman to.
Yeah, just to have that public image.
Which is so interesting. It's so interesting that he's such a loved, well-respected musician, and yet he had to make that decision. But it doesn't really explore why the society he lived in had to do.
It's quite a superficial film. It's very like style over substance.
And I can see why can see why it's like that. But it's a compromise, and I can't love any film that's a compromise.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying I loved it. I think I
Stop
enjoyed
saying
it.
You love it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
Pool scene's good.
Yeah, well, it's the one that I thought should have been nominated for production design, because I think is the one thing that I've really enjoyed about it, which I don't think has been nominated for production design, is Detective Pikachu.
No, it hasn't.
Before anyone gets on my back about it, I didn't particularly enjoy Detective Pikachu that much. I think it was a bit flawed. It felt a bit... I think I reviewed it, didn't I? I felt kind of like a budget Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I would, from what you say, I would probably take out Jojo Rabbit. I think the production design is kind of a problem with that. Like, I think how glossy that film looks, I think, is a problem. But
yeah, well, I
like that film.
I just think the world that they created for Detective Pikachu was easily the most interesting thing about it. Like, it wasn't a direct lift from the games. They had come up with like almost a slightly new interpretation of this material that fans are so familiar with. I mean, I used to be a big Pokémon fan back in the day, so seeing something that I was kind of familiar with when I was a kid turned into something a bit more, it's kind of Blade Runner-y. I mean, the production designer was the art director on Batman, so it's got a bit of that kind of dystopian, weird grind. There's like a glossy utopian side.
Is it because the poster has it? Does it have a sort of purpley glint?
Yeah, at nighttime there's more of like an alleyway kind of neon. It's almost like a Japanese kind of alleyway vibe. There's lots of like street markets.
It does sound cool.
Yeah, no, stylistically that film is not flawed. I would say, like, and the execution of the characters as well, like especially with the whole Sonic the Hedgehog debacle going on, they did the Pokemon justice. I'd say most of them came out pretty well. So I'm surprised. I'm assuming it got a nom for special effects.
No. It's such a narrow list of film. Like, I mean, visual effects. It's I think
just Star Wars and was it
Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917.
Avengers on here. I don't know why I didn't put that on there.
I have nothing new to say about Avengers. I kind of enjoyed it.
I suppose they were like. It was like a three-way coin toss for which Disney film was going to end up on there. Is it Aladdin, Dumbo, or Lion King? Ding!
I think for special effects, it was obviously going to be Lion King.
Really? I thought like everyone who has any interest in visual effects thought
it's the Oscars though, and it's the most obviously visual effects one. It certainly wouldn't be Aladdin, because Aladdin's quite. It's quite like it's also it was slightly more practical than I was expecting in places. I'm just gonna we saw some stinkers this year, some terrible terrors. Do you like any more?
I was just gonna Late Night. Should we mention that?
I liked Late Night.
Yeah, no, it's really weird seeing like a comedy of that kind of little scale. Well, it's kind of little scale, not too small, but like seeing a film like that on the big screen now is very unusual. because those comedies don't really exist in the cinema.
I did like that film. I thought Emma Thompson was funny, always good value.
Their chemistry was good with Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, I thought she was charming, but I also I liked that the film genuinely had like surprises. It genuinely went in directions you weren't expecting, and particularly with the other writers in the room, they went in directions that you didn't expect from them. I think there's a nice little turnaround where she's kind of flirting with one who seems like the nicer, more grounded one, and then the guy who seems like a dick becomes more understanding, and different layers of are kind of revealed about each other. Just surprising. Just doing stuff that you don't expect. I mean, the same thing happens in Booksmart, but probably better. But it was good. It was good.
But yeah, no, Late Night was another one I quite liked. Well, not like amazing, but recommended.
Solid movie.
Yeah.